welcome to another Kiss the Frog, Charlene's Vision Show. Glad to have you back again with another episode of Kiss the Frogs. So today we're going to be talking about some dating stories and, some safety tips, which is definitely very important. Okay, so Ed, what do you have for us today?
This is a very, very important, serious topic we're going to talk about today. Okay,
Wow.
I'll get serious. The safety. Now, Charlene's got some fun stories to tell about somebody she hurt some of her friends' experiences.
Exactly.
But we're going to tie it into some safety tips because that is something that you have to take very seriously when you're putting yourself out there and going. Not something necessarily to be afraid of, just things you need to be aware of. But I thought, Charlene, it'd be good to kind of maybe start with some of these stories because I'll be honest with you, I'm dying to hear these stories. I've been looking forward to it. So if you don't mind, can we start there?
Exactly, we sure can. Let's just start. So, have a couple of people that's definitely hanging out and, doing the dating sites.
Nice.
Dating sites, maybe doing more than one. And so they've been, talking and conversating. So then they decide to meet. Now, I'm not quite sure how long they've been talking for, but they definitely have been talking for a while. And they said, okay, this seemed like this is a time for us to meet. And I was like, okay. So when she actually was driving, I guess, a good area, no one's home, remember that, just driving out in the community. It was something like a park area. And so she was like, well, yeah, this is like about maybe 20, 30 minutes from my house. It's not that far because you want to also make sure that they don't know exactly where you live. So you don't want it's like right around the corner, right? So you want to just have something when you drive a little bit of a distance. And she did that as well. So as soon, they both was like, oh, I have on this color.
So let me just back up. Sorry. So this is story, just because you went quick, I just want to slow it down. So just so we got everything. So this is story number one. She met this gentleman. They talked for a while. We don't know how long, but for a substantial amount. They decided they're going to meet, and they decided they're going to meet at a location they agreed upon,
exactly.
20, 30 miles or minutes away. Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry. So then what happens?
So after, I guess he arrived first. He may say, I have on maybe this yellow shirt and these black pants, and she definitely said what she was going to have on. So they had some type of description. Now, one thing I do know, when he arrived first, she actually, drove and pulled up, and she noticed him with the yellow shirt, and she's just driving a little bit slower, and she's like, I don't think this is what I'm seeing. So she just rolled right past him. She did not even stop. Wait a second. Wait. Time out. So you're telling me she wanted to get in for a closer look to see what she was dealing with. Uh-huh. So instead of parking, getting out, and meeting him in person, she actually did like a slow drive-by. And took a look at what was going on and said, this was him. And she's like,
do you know if he see her?
And then next thing you know, she's like, I'm gone. She didn't even she didn't even do a complete stop.
I got a bunch of questions here, and I'm sure you guys do too in your mind. Okay, number one, why did she do that? Do you know the reason why?
Well, the reason why is because the profile he had was not the profile he looked like when he saw her, and she was just so rude in her mind. She was like, this is the ugliest person I ever saw. That was her exact words.
So it was like catfishing, I think is the word that they use out there. So in other words, he presented himself on the dating site as looking one way, maybe had an old picture, whatever. But then when she showed up, she was totally astonished.
Right, but the fact is, she said, okay, sometimes you can't control your looks. You look how you look. You could, of course, a little bit. But the way he was dressed, and she was like, oh my goodness, like he didn't even dress like he was going to meet someone for the first time. The first impression is everything, right?
Okay, Charlene, I gotta have a commercial break right here. So this commercial is for all you guys and dudes out there, okay? I'm talking to you. Because I had this happen many times with female friends, other people that I've talked to in the past. Guys, wear a clean shirt when you go on a date.
Yeah, I know
wear
we discussed
a nice
that
shirt.
a couple of
wear
times
some
as well.
nice clothes. I know you want to be accepted
It
for
doesn't
the
have
way
to
you
be
look.
expensive. It doesn't.
Doesn't
You're
have
not
to be
talking about
expensive.
expensive. You're just talking about making sure it's clean and maybe not wrinkled. Some people is not attracted to that wrinkleness. So when he came out, he had like, oh my goodness, not just. His clothes was not even appropriate.
Yeah, that's
and
not
of course you can't, and of course, the vehicle he drove was like, I mean, sometimes you can't help that, but she was like, oh my goodness. Like she couldn't find one speck of something that was good. I mean, down to his shoes.
Do you know if she communicated? I mean, so obviously, did she at least tell the guy, I'm sorry, anything afterwards? Do you know?
She did not tell him anything. She just like blocked.
Wow.
Blocked and more blocked, like do not even come to me.
I wish we had like a real-time poll, because I'm curious to see if people think that was the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. Now remember, part of the show is called about safety. Now I'm not saying maybe she also felt some, maybe some safety vibes there too. But what do you think, Charlene? Do you think that was appropriate for her to do?
Well, when she told me, I was like, did you watch Kiss the Frogs? Because maybe if you watch Kiss the Frogs, you would have eliminated going to see him, and all this would have been not happening, right? So that was the first thing. Like, you need to watch the show, because that's what the show is for.
That's right.
It's for safety, and we have plenty of shows. This is not the only one, but we also try to mingle that in some of the shows that if you'd watch the show, you would avoid all of this.
So let's do that right now, because I got a couple ideas, if it's okay with you. So people are thinking, well, Ed and Charlene, what would you have done to avoid this situation, right? So there's two things you could do. One is that you can ask the person for a more recent photo, or a photo. You could do it in such a way like, hey, so send me a picture. You're going somewhere, oh, you send me a picture of you. Okay, if that doesn't work, try a video chat. Hey, I'd like to video chat with you one night. Can we do that first before we go somewhere?
I definitely tried that. I definitely tried the video chat before I even met someone, because usually you can do video chat.
That's probably one of the better options.
But sometimes if you have an iPhone versus an Android is a little bit more complicated.
I think you can do it through Facebook. I have to check. There's a few apps. So you could, if there's a will, there's a way you could do it. That might be helpful. Or, it's really, really hard. I've been in the situations before where I've gone on a date and, I was catfished at different levels. Some of it wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
But for me, I decided to go through the date because I just looked at it as like, I'm just going to have a good time regardless. And, at least I meet somebody. Obviously she decided she didn't want to do that. She felt very uncomfortable, but I feel bad for the guy that he just stood there, waited, I don't know how long, didn't even get a text message.
Didn't I even get a text?
Because in some ways, maybe the guy would have liked to known. I'm sorry, I'm empathetic, so I'm trying to think of the other side. Maybe the guy wanted to know what I did wrong. Even if she sent a message saying, listen, you really didn't represent yourself right. I showed there, I left, I didn't feel comfortable. At least he would know, okay, maybe I need to do something different.
Well,
what do you think?
I think that he probably knows, because this is not his first time. He probably had someone drove in the car and passed him.
Charlene is just laying it out. She's just like, I ain't
He probably got the message, because sometimes you could be between the line. If I'm going on a date and I'm waiting for someone and they did not show up, then I know definitely something happened.
Well, yeah, I guess I'm more sympathetic a little bit, because I've known some people that literally, I know one person posted a picture like from 10 years ago. I'm like, why did you post? That's from 10 years ago. You still look good. But, oh, well, that's like the best picture of me I like. Well, that was a decade ago. It's like,
Yeah, it's definitely something that you really don't want to be doing. You want definitely something current. Now, I'm respectful. I would have said the same thing you said. I would have said you did not represent yourself well. You have this picture, but you did not look anything like the picture. But I think he was trying to maybe smooth her with his charm. That's what I'm thinking. You know how that is. So I maybe don't look well, maybe don't have the right clothes, but let me just smooth you with my charm.
Yeah. That's what I think happened to me too. I think people feel like they build a bond through talking on the phone or through text. You build this something. So when you see in person, even though you might be a little disappointed, you already have that connection. So therefore, the person might see past it. But that's not the way to go. What do we've always said in our show? Honesty, right?
Yeah, honesty. Because definitely, you definitely want to be honest, because it's going to come up anyway. So that's it. So then, so she still didn't give up.
How about story number 2?
she did not give up. Then she actually was talking to someone else that she seemed to be interested in, and they was talking back and forth. And she uploaded her picture, which was a current picture. She told him it was a current picture. And then he said, well, let's Duo, right? Is it called Duo? Is the one that is the video chat. So they wanted to do the video chat. So she couldn't do it at that time, I guess, because of where she was at. So she said, not at this time. So he calls her late at night, like around 9, 10 o'clock, she's sleeping. And he was like, he just started cursing her out, like, that's not you. That's not you. And she was like, what are you talking about? She said, yeah, he said, you catfishing me. That's not you. And she was like, he said, so I want to see you right now. And she was like, no, I am not going to see you right now because it's freaking late and I'm in my bed. Now, of course, when you're sleeping and you're in your bed, you don't want to be looking at anyone, right? Because, of course, that's the time when you're sleeping. Of course, you're not going to look your best. And, of course, you want to look your best the first time. So she was like, no. And he's like, see, I told you. She was like, you know what? I don't have time for this. So she just hung up on him. And then the next day when she got up, she went to work and she actually connected with him again, which was good. And she said, you definitely said that I was catfish. Now we can definitely see each other. And she did, which was good, just because I don't know why he said that. So then when he saw her, he's like, oh, that is you. Like, that's it. Oh, that is you. And she was like, I told you that was me. Mm-hmm. I was honest from day one. Why would you not think that is me? So he said, oh, no, because, people always catfish. This, and that. He said he gave it this long blah, blah, blah
I'll tell
story.
You what, I don't have a red flag, but I throw out the red mitten right here. That guy is really crazy. Absolutely crazy as this. Let me tell you, I will throw a red flag there because, somebody cursing something out. Now, you may want to say, hey, let's do a video chat. Right. Be respectful. Pick a time that's convenient for the other person. I know what he was trying to do. He's trying to catch her off guard to try to get the authenticity. But let's be real. If you get to the person anytime, you're going to see what they really look like anyhow. And to curse her out and give her that is totally a red flag. There's some controlling and some other things going on there.
After he cursed her out for about 15 minutes, and she was like, what are you talking about? Now he's like, oh, so let's go out on a date. And then she was like, no, we are not going out on a date. And he's like, why? He's like, no, because I didn't like the way you came at me. You're going to wake me up, call me late at night, and then you're going to say that I'm catfishing you. I really think that was like disrespectful, and I am not going to. I think that this is not going to be a good match.
But I'm really sorry, and I want to see you. So I don't know.
The answer is
no. Too bad.
Too bad. No. Bye-bye. So I would think that would be definitely a red flag because,
I think she dodged a bullet there, as they say. Again, people need to be, I think people try to have their swag and they come at people in a different way. Just be honest at who you are. Be respectful. But I think she dodged a bullet in terms of who knows what would have been next, following that episode.
I know, right? Exactly. And, you have to be patient. So, she definitely was like, I'm not going to just go for any of that, which you shouldn't. And so now she's just still peeling along, looking at other people on the website. And, she's being more careful and she's learning from her mistakes, which is good. So that's what it's about.
Before we get to story 3, it reminds you of is she's kissing some frogs. I mean, that's what you got to do, right? There's plenty of frogs out there to kiss.
Kiss those frogs.
Exactly. So, okay. So let's hear about story number 3 before we get into other stuff.
So story number 3 is definitely something more downplayed. Someone she's seen and they send photos to each other. And, she has she has a nice body. And he was like, instead of talking about, her, he's like, what are your likes? What do you like to do? It's about, oh my goodness, you got a big butt. You got a big butt. So it's like, okay, she knows she has a big butt.
Okay, well, one thing is though, just to be honest, How does he know she has a big butt? Did she send him photos?
She sent him photos.
Where she could, what, was she turning to the, like, how do you?
You can tell from the side, you can tell from the front, you can tell from definitely from the back. But yeah, and she's definitely, good size, nice, healthy. She does have a, nice shape, and so that was just kind of funny. And she's like, oh, I'm not talking to you. So that was pretty quick, but the fact is that, it's all about the conversation, right? If you're talking, that happened to me too. So, they all about the body. So you want to make sure they're not just about the body.
There's a difference between, complimenting a woman and talking a little bit too personal, especially that early on. I mean, because then a person's going to think, okay, that's what got in your mind. Especially in the first date. I can't believe how many stories over the years I've heard from both men and women where they go on their first dates and how people just talk about sex or talk about their body parts. It's like, okay, that's what attracted you together, but what's on somebody's mind if that's what they're talking about.
Exactly. And also one thing I wanted to bring up as well is one thing to look at if you notice someone been on a website a long time. I definitely want to stress that.
Let's talk about
if somebody been on a website and and even if they tell you they've been on a website 5 years straight, maybe they got off for maybe a month or maybe even a year and they back on again and then they've been on for 5 years. Now, I think that should be a red flag in a sense. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't have I dropped it. I don't know where my I have the red mitten, but yes, definitely that's a flag. Absolutely, for sure. Only because you're wondering, because eventually I could see people being off for a while, you meet somebody, but if somebody's constantly on there, that means they're not connecting. And a lot of times you find the same people also, their longest relationship maybe only be like 6 months or something. If you're 40, 50 years old, nothing against people that haven't had a long relationship, that's something to keep in mind. There's got to be something with that. These are some of the red flags that you kind of see.
Yeah, exactly. I know sometimes, you're off for a while and then you're back on. Of course, things didn't work out. You might be on and then you off for maybe about a couple of years because you thought it was going to work out 2 or 3 years and you're back on again. But if you've been on for 10, 15, 20 years and you have not had a long relationship, I mean, it's a red flag. Sometimes it could be, you want to give somebody the benefit of the doubt, but definitely. So let's talk about some safeties.
Yes. So one of the things that we talked about, I think once before you might have mentioned, is sometimes don't give out your number right away, or maybe not give out your real number, give out a work number, or there's ways you can give messaging numbers and different numbers.
Right, that's exactly true. That's what I did. I gave them, don't you know you have free Google numbers, by the way? You can definitely create so many Google free numbers and they just have your Google number. And it's pretty cool because that's what I did. That's definitely a good safety tip because sometimes when you want them to, you don't want to talk to them anymore. Sometimes it just takes a while. Sometimes they still contact you and they have your number. And I know you could block them as well, but sometimes don't even just give them the number. Give them the Google number for a while.
Then you don't have to worry about it. Progress slowly. Some people like just jump right away. If that's your personality, that's fine, but you can maybe try to talk to multiple people at once. Try to space this a little bit. We mentioned this many times, meet at a public location. Don't say, hey, come pick me up at my house. No. Meet somewhere. And Charlene, here's one that I'm big on. One is that always let somebody know you have a date, that you're going on a date. Yeah. And also, too, have sounds silly, but have emergency contact or buddy person, meaning I might have a buddy, hey, I'm going on a date. If something happens during the day, if something goes wonky, I'll call you. Now, that sounds odd, but I've had people tell me real stories where the person they met, for whatever reason, got drunk or was a little psycho. Something happened where there was almost an altercation. And they actually had to go into the bathroom and text or call the person to come and help them. So it does happen. And what do you think about that?
I think that definitely does happen. And that's why you definitely need to have somebody know where you're going, which is always important. And sometimes you might think things might work out. Sometimes me and Ed have a discrepancy. Sometimes Ed says, after 3 dates, it's a wrap. Sometimes I want to give it a 4th date too. And sometimes I may want to give it a 5th date because I'm trying to give a person a shot, but it's like, it's not working out. But sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. But Ed was like, after the 3rd date, it should be definitely over. because you don't want to give that person incentive that you said, but maybe you do like them. But sometimes you might say, hey, I do like this person, but maybe this stuff I need to work on. No one is going to be perfect, right? So I definitely sometimes will give somebody more than 3 dates because I feel like, hey, maybe, maybe this, sometimes people's uncomfortable. So I might give somebody a 4th date, maybe even a 5th date as well.
Yeah, I think, Charlene, for me, it's like the 3-strike rule, right? Because I think some people in the online dating world, if you get to a 3rd date, people are like saying, hey, this is, especially people who they've been on the website forever. They're like, oh my God, 3 dates is great. This is something going on. So to your point, I think it's fine going on a 4th or 5th date, as long as they know, if nobody's being exclusive, if it hasn't been talked about that you're being exclusive, then it's just getting together for a date. And to your point, it should be fine. Go on a few dates. It takes a while to get to know somebody.
Exactly, and that's what I want to also definitely stress is that sometimes it does take a while. You be like, oh, this person is cool, this person is there. And sometimes, you want to just hang out with a person. And sometimes, like you said, if you don't say we are exclusive, we are not.
Exactly.
We're not going to be just staying. And sometimes
and there
one
shouldn't
person,
be expectations.
But sometimes one person might want to be exclusive, but the other person might not be exclusive.
It takes two.
It takes two, and you need to very, very have that clear.
Exactly.
And, because some people start definitely, looking and
assuming.
Yep, assuming exactly, and then they start going through your profile, and then they start seeing this and they start seeing that, and they like, oh yeah, you're still on dating, you're still doing that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Two people have to be on the same page, and to be honest with you, usually the two people know they're on the same page. If one person's falling for the other, you have to keep yourself in check. I think do we got time for one more? There's one more quick one I want to mention.
I think we don't have that much time.
I'll be really quick. Do your research. I know some people say, well, I don't want to be spying on somebody, but, if you can find them on Facebook, do it, Oh
yeah, we talked about that.
I've had people tell me, oh yeah, I'm divorced. I go look up, I sound awful, but I look on the court case. They're not divorced yet.
Right.
They just filed the pay.
Right.
I'm not saying you have to do a whole FBI check, but it's okay to do some homework. What do you think?
I definitely think that is definitely a good tip right there. Good safety tips. And that is the end of the Charlene's Vision for this one, but we have some more ones coming up. And thank you for watching Kiss the Frog. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Charlene.
Welcome, I'm Nick Augustino. I'd like to welcome you to the Clam Box, where we do seafood our way. We got lobster roll, fried clams, fish and chip, fried shrimp, and our famous onion rings. We put a lot of precaution into the safety for you and your family. Not only do we use plexiglass at the cash register and sanitizer, we all wear gloves and we all keep a 6-foot distancing, and everybody must wear a mask. We carry all the options. We got DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, and of course, we got curbside where we bring it right to your car. Online ordering is available at clamboxnewbritain.com or by calling us at 860-357-3118. The Clam Box, 586 West Main Street, New Britain.